Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today we're going back to CodeSignal to work on the SQL database coding exercises. If you're joining this in the middle of a playlist, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description so you can start at the beginning if you wish. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to the arcade, and then I'm going to go to databases, and I'm going to go to join us at the table section, and the next one we have is localCalendar. Alright, so you're developing a calendar application that will allow users to schedule various events on different dates. The dates are all stored in the server local time as a date time. You want to display the dates using the settings specified by the user. Event dates and user settings are stored in the events and settings table, which has the following structure. So you got events, which has an ID, a date, and a user ID. And then settings has the same user ID, the time shift. So that's the number of minutes the user's time differs from the server. And then hours, the number of hours the user's clock, either 12 or 24. So 24 would be military time in the US. The display date should have the format, so 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 2-digit hour, and then 2-digit minute if the user's clock has 24 hours. Otherwise, the format is as such, where you have AM or PM attached to it. Given the events and settings table, compose the results as follows. The resulting table should have two columns, event ID and formatted date, that contains the event IDs and the formatted event dates according to the settings of the user who scheduled that event, respectively. The table should be sorted in ascending order by the event IDs. So right there, we're going to order by event ID in the events table. Alright, so this is a sample of the events table, just an ID. We got the date here in pretty standard format, and then the user ID. And then in the settings table, so we have a user ID that corresponds to this user ID. We got the time shift. This is the number of minutes that the user's clock is different from the server, and whether they want a 12 or 24 hour clock date to be set. So this is how they want the output. They just want the event ID and then the formatted date in however format they want with the time shift added in. Alright, so we got that now. Let's look at how to do this. So the first part of it's very simple. All we need is the event ID, which is directly from the events table. So we're going to do select events.eventID. I'm going to actually pull this out a little bit. And then, so they want the date format and formatted based on the user's settings. So I'm going to use an if statement. So if, this is going to be a true or false statement here. And so if in the settings table, so if we look back at the settings table, if they set to 24, then it's going to resolve the first condition. Otherwise, it's going to do the second condition. Okay, so if it's 24-hour clock, we're going to use the date format function, and then we're going to use the date add to add the number of minutes that they put in the settings table. So date add just takes a date and adds a certain amount to it. In this case, we're going to use interval, and we're going to use the settings and the time shift. So this is the number of minutes that the user is different from the server. So we're going to use interval, that time shift, and then we're going to specify that this is minutes. And then we're going to give it the date format where this is the 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and then hour and minutes. And then it's basically this pretty similar. If it's a 12-hour, we're going to do the same thing, except that we're going to add this %p at the end so that it puts in AM or PM, and the hours is going to be the lowercase h in this case to signify that it's a 12-hour clock. And then we just do an inner join on the user ID from the events to the settings table. So we will only get the events that have a matching settings in the settings table. So if a user for some reason is not in the settings table, we won't get that from the events table. And then if we run the tests, we can see that's correct. So I hope you guys were able to follow along with that, and you join me for future videos. Thank you very much.